insane, dude! Okay, gamers. Yo, we got a new post about Titan Quest 2. This is another GamesCom information follow-up. After GamesCom, there was a few videos, some in German, some in English, and this is a compilation here of basically all the confirmed information from GamesCom. They posted this just a few hours ago, and I figured we'd read through it. Let's go ahead and get into it. They say here, a lot of you had questions after Gamescom footage got shown. We have attempted to answer most of them here. Also, if you have more questions, make sure to check out the developer gameplay. This is something I covered on my YouTube, so definitely check that out. They put a link in it here. Sweet. Basically, this is an interview format, so I'm going to skip some of the info and follow-up stuff, so you can kind of see the question is like here, and like info is here. So we'll just go ahead and read through this. As a confirmation, early access will be starting in the winter of this year. Early access will happen. The final date will be confirmed soon. So we don't know the final date, but early access this year. They say this year, not next year. So it's 2024, not 2025. So that's sick. We don't have to wait till January. It'll probably be, if I had to guess, it'll probably be early December, if I had to guess. So, anyways, there will be full English and German language support. No information on languages yet. Okay, if you think about all the localization of Titan Quest 1, there's going to be a lot of localization. It just will probably take time. I don't know how important that is for a lot of you guys, but I think German and English is a pretty good start. In general, we will support many languages, but for early access start, we might even start with English only. I think that's okay. I don't think that's a huge deal, right? Again, a lot of people looking to buy early access is probably going to be, looking for less support than at 1.0. Anyways. The beach is the official starting area after the Titan Quest 2 intro cinematic, and the game has an entire introductory chapter and act before the area, and that area is going to have 30 to 40 minutes. So basically, if you guys saw the footage, there is a beach starting location, and before that is a cinematic, and just before the cinematic is about 30 to 40 minutes of like an introductory chapter, is what I'm understanding. Yeah, so I don't think that'll be the 30 to 40 minutes in the beginning is going to be in early access. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that, but anyways, the story will be independent from Titan Quest 1. It will be set in the same universe. It is set in Greek mythology, so people might be a little disappointed that we're not seeing multiple mythologies. It's just Greek, it seems to be this time. It's a whole new plotline using established characters and concepts of Greek mythology. Yeah, again, Greek mythology, just Greek mythology. Okay, this is the base attack icon changes depending on equipped weapon type. And then it says follow-up. Yes, that is correct. This is totally a transcript. It's okay. The game speed will be slower than that of your average RPG. Okay, this is good. Remember, this is good. Some of the bad things, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, is how fast most other ARPGs are. I think it's just a detriment. It creates an environment in which your decisions, one, get made for you by speed, and two, you don't have the opportunity to make decisions. It's just zoom, right? So in this case, they're flat out saying the game speed will be slower than your average ARPG. And that's to complement the challenging fights, which require you to think before you act. Think before you act, imagine. The time to kill is slower than the genre standard, but there is plenty of player input and many enemy actions to react to. So, time to kill, a little bit slower, but there's lots of things to react to. This is basically Titan Quest 1, right? Certain builds took a long time to kill things, by today's standards a long time, and then my Ice Shard Druid, you know, deletes things, you have the opportunity to do lots of damage, I think. But once you earn that lots of damage, by default, it's probably not going to be super fast. This is a note on difficulty. The game will have adjustable difficulty settings. This is a really good paragraph here. We have an in-game ritual system that will allow you to manipulate the level of enemies, the enemy levels, right? And thus the loot they drop. Okay, if you get a normal difficulty in Titan Quest 1, normal difficulty Outrider's Buckler, you will be punished for using that in Act 5 because there are way better shields. But in Titan Quest 2, if you want to use a ritual to make, I don't know, the Satyr shield stronger, all you have to do is turn on the rituals that boost the enemy's scale to your level. You go get a new shield, and then it's valuable again, right? This will give you a greater challenge and is more reward via high-level items drops. You can also revisit prior areas and get valuable loot exclusive to those areas, so long as you opt in to increase the difficulty or to raise the minimum level to your own. Yeah, sick. That's a really interesting setting. I still would like to see it in game and see exactly how it works, but I love the concept for sure. It's planned to give at least 6x the amount of skills. So they're talking about the demo version has 6 times less skills than what's going to happen in early access. So people were complaining about how pruned and how empty the demo from Gamescom's, you know, trees were. Don't worry. In early access, probably December, we don't know the date. In early access, they're going to have 6 times the amount of skills, right? It's going to be fleshed out. It's going to be fleshed out if they're going to have enough skills. So that's in comparison to the demo version. Okay. A lot more active skills, passive skills, as well as modifiers are coming to early access. Yeah, so it makes sense. They're rapidly iterating on this build. Even the footage that they showed just the other day, they noted how many things were outdated based on their updated builds, like that they're playing on internally. So it sounds like they're geared up to be able to iterate quickly. That's really cool, in my opinion. Every skill has modifiers, of which you can pick up to 5 per skill. Every skill has modifiers. That's nuts. So think about that in comparison to Titan Quest 1. There are times that you don't take every skill because you're just not going to use them. But now if a skill has modifier, the base might not be good, but until you put a modifier on it, then you might use it. So it's like being able to modify every skill means so much versatility. That's pretty sick. That's really, really sick. The modifiers also have a capacity cost, right? We saw that. You gain capacity by investing skill points into the skills. Thus, you can't immediately activate 5 modifiers, but the maximum is indeed 5. Okay, so every skill has modifiers. The maximum is 5, and you need to unlock capacity slots first in order to modify them. Makes sense. Pretty simple. That's still nuts. I think that's awesome. This is a note about the horse. The horse will be with us through the whole story. Yeah, it seems like a story thing. And continue talking to us. As far as early access goes, we aren't looking to give story spoilers beyond that point. Yeah, okay, so they're avoiding spoilers. That is a story note, though. Back to skills. Respecting skill points is possible, but the masteries are set in stone once you've picked them. Same thing as Titan Quest 1. If you've chose Warfare, you can't spec out of Warfare into another mastery, but you can remove, your skill points. The world's completely handcrafted. I feel like I've heard that before. They are definitely pushing the handcrafted narrative, which is awesome. Awesome. This is an interesting note. I saw this earlier. The main campaign is handcrafted. However, we might introduce in-game content that is using different concepts. So think about Tartarus. I'm not saying they're putting in Tartarus 2.0, but Tartarus didn't use anything random actually, but they were all handcrafted. Like it was like 20 handcrafted kind of dungeons, and you would rotate between the 20 of them to get through Tartarus. I think making some random assets is probably a lot easier in Unreal Engine 5. So if they're open to randomizing tile sets just for in-game content, sounds like they can do that, and or maybe considering it. We'll have to see though. That's probably way down the path. Here's a note about story. Story events throughout the world have been added to the game. The more you explore, the more interactions you can find. Sweet. Get off the path. Go find out what that shiny thing is. The developers are brainstorming on how to further improve the inventory for the player, hinting at a reduced chance of overloading your inventory in the future. They will be introducing a loot filter and a stash system during early access. They did mention in a blog post that your stash is basically infinite. Well, it's a gold sink, but all you have to do is buy more tabs and more tabs and more tabs, right? So that's cool. And then they're talking about a loot filter, so that's also cool. If you don't ever want to see blue items or, you know, the low quality magic items, filter that stuff out. That would be really nice. You can target farm. You definitely can. Crafting is being added during early access. Target farming will be mostly relevant when it comes to collecting materials. If you're hunting boars and you need the boar hides, obviously you're going to target farm boars, right? That's what they're talking about. This kind of concept existed in Titan Quest 1. It's coming back in Titan Quest 2. That's sick. For the campaign, it's roughly 12 hours in early access. This is the early access campaign. It may be long, you know, it's probably definitely going to be longer on release. I think they said 50 hours for 1.0, roughly. The early access content takes between 10 to 15 hours in one playthrough. There's no info on how big the fully released game will be. It will depend on how the early access goes. The update will bring a lot of new content, right? The content we're targeting for full release is at least around 50 hours. Yeah, there it is. So around 50 hours for full release, which is, I think, more than Titan Quest 1. You know, the first 3 chapters. About the same, maybe a little longer, right? That's sick. So, multiplayer is planned, not early access though, sad. Only for full release. The game will feature multiplayer, but not on early access. The amount of additional content after early access will be partly depend on player feedback and wishes. So talk to the developers and they'll do their best to listen. In the past, Grimlore's general approach has been to work on meaningful add-on chunks if desired by the players, and that continues to be our plan. Sick. After early access, there will be additional masteries to increase replayability. And additional masteries depend entirely on feedback and demand. So, I think they said somewhere else that they're focusing on the original ones, right? The original masteries. So the original 8. So if there's time and room for more masteries after early access and 1.0, they'll definitely consider it based on feedback and demand. That's sick. That's really sick. Okay, that's just a quick overview of all the information that's confirmed after Gamescom demo, and a nice wrap-up of the showcase so far. So hopefully we'll get some blog posts soon. I think we're in store for hopefully a September blog post, but if not, then we'll be back on track for October. Okay, guys, see you in the next one. Bye!